Hello everybody, welcome to Operation Rolling Blunder, where the best laid plans meet the enemy. I am your host Steve. Today I am going to be doing an army review for a new game that has just been released by Firelock Games called Blood and Valor. This is a World War I skirmish game designed for 28mm miniatures. This is also a very special addition to the channel because it is our inaugural video. So thank you for being here with us. If you like this video, any of our future content, we have a lot of stuff coming up that we are planning. Very excited. Please like and subscribe and keep your eyes peeled for any new content that we have coming. So today, I decided to show off my World War I Italian army in 28mm. This is the army that I'm going to be using to play Blood and Valor. Funny enough, the Italians are not included in the game. There is no formal army list for the Italians. The game deals specifically with the Western Front and some other campaigns like Gallipoli, and the Near East, but it does not deal with either the Eastern Front or the Italian Front. So there are no Russians, no Austrians, and no Italians. But it's not that big of a deal because the lists that they have in the book are easily adaptable to the different armies. So for the Italians, I am using the French army list. My opponent is going to be using the Germans for his Austrians, and it's not really a big deal because there's not too much variation between the different army lists. There are different geographical, climatic factors and so forth that made the Italian front different from the fighting in the West or the East for various reasons, but the game is very fluid, it's very simple, it's basically squad and platoon level skirmish combat, so I'm not too worried about adapting this for play on the Italian front. The miniatures that I have here equal up to about 150 points with the added artillery barrage. I've added grenades and some other options, so it's about 150 points, which is a small game, it's a starter force. And I am actually in love with these models. They are from Scarab Miniatures in the UK. These are the late war Italians, so they are wearing their Adrian helmets. The Italian army started the war wearing a service cap, much like the British and the French. But by 1916, the fighting on the Italian front made it necessary to adopt a combat helmet. Just the artillery and the limestone shrapnel that Italian soldiers were frequently experiencing in the mountain conditions necessitated the adoption of a helmet. So the Italians were kind of behind in the count with the development of combat helmets, so they adopted a French helmet, the Adrian helmet, eventually modified it and stamped their version out of a single piece of steel. The French helmet was stamped out of 4 pieces of steel that were then welded together. So the Italian helmet was actually a superior variation to the Adrian, but they are basically modeled wearing those helmets. They're equipped with Carcano rifles. The heavy MG team that I have is equipped with a Fiat Ravelli model 1914 heavy machine gun. This army actually has a lot of significance for me. I had a great-grandfather who served in the Italian army during World War I and was actually in a machine gun company, so the Fiat Ravelli would have been his weapon. That's what he would have been using. But again, I just love the Scarab miniatures. They're 28mm. The level of detail on these guys is just crazy. I'm astounded at how much detail they were able to pack onto these miniatures. And the fact that they even do Italians for World War I is a big deal. I believe Brigade Games does World War I Italians as well. But they're depicted with the early war service caps instead of the helmets, which is not a problem in itself, but we're trying to depict the fighting later on in the war. So having the Italians with the Adrian helmets was important. They're great miniatures. They're out in the UK, but again, if you wanted to get them from an American source, Brigade Games is always an option as well. So I have a few infantry squads of 6 men each. I have my command squad, which is a captain, and his 2 attendants, which are riflemen. And then I have the heavy MG team and then an artillery barrage. So again, this force comes out to about 150 points. I thought it would also be a good army to do just because it's very niche. You know, I mean, nothing wrong with wargaming the Western Front, but everyone's done it. And I figured, you know, it would be a cool thing to pay some attention to some of the lesser known armies of the war. If you are interested in this period, definitely take a look at Blood and Valor by Firelock. It's a brand new game. I pre-ordered this, so the rule book just came in last week. I think that World War I lends itself very well to skirmish wargaming. I haven't really tried some of the larger scale games using 10 or 15 millimeter models, which I'm not opposed to, but I think it's a lot easier to just throw down some 28 millimeter models and use a game like Blood and Valor, which is very streamlined, very simple, basically easy to learn, difficult to master. So it's a game that you can pick up, and after, you know, maybe 20 or 30 minutes of reading through the rules, you can start throwing dice and, you know, having your first games. It is not a hard game. If you are a beginning war gamer, it should be very easy for you to get into. And if you are a veteran war gamer, it still has a lot of the tactical nuance that you're looking for. But again, the rules are just so simple. You'll be able to dive into it and start playing your first games right away. So hopefully we will have a battle report with the Italians coming up soon, with the Austrians during the Battle of Caporetto in 1917. Hopefully my fortunes as the Italians do not mirror that of the history. Caporetto was a major defeat for the Italians, almost ended up knocking Italy out of the war and actually breaking the entire Italian army. But we will see in the coming days what the result of that is. So again, if you like this video, please give us a like, subscribe, and hopefully we will have some more content coming out for you guys soon. Alrighty.